everyone, and welcome to hopefully a kind of cool, fun, vloggy type video. So I decided that I wanted to participate in the Shrekathon, which I believe is happening the 16th through the 22nd of May. I'll put the correct dates here if it is different. But basically, I have not read like a lot this month. I am in the middle of reading 4 books and I have successfully read 1 other book. So I'm not doing well. And so I thought maybe, this readathon could help me a little bit. And I mean, it's Shrek, so I just want to do a Shrekathon. Anyway, so let's get into the TBR. So the first prompt, I have them on my phone, is a book that's been on your shelf for a while, and for this one I'm going with The Bridge, which I actually got from the author. I think it's a signed copy. Yeah, it's signed. But I got a signed copy years ago, never read it. It's really short, and I have the audiobook as well. And I think the audiobook is 4 hours total, so the way that I normally listen to it, it should be 2 hours. So yeah, excited to jump into this. I think it's a romance, and potentially has a subplot or main plot of trying to save an old bookstore. Oh no. I don't know much about it, but it kind of has Christmassy vibes, so who knows. Next is large cast of characters. So for a large cast of characters, I'm going with Shortcake Cake. So the first volume followed the main character 10 as she decides to move into a boarding house instead of continuing a 2-hour commute to her school. And she is living with her best friend and I believe a few other people, including I think at least 3 boys. And the main character is very bad at picking up signals of whether or not people like her. So that is also, a plot point for this series, and I'm excited to see where it goes from where the first volume ended. Next, so one of the books that I'm currently reading is Skyward Volume 1. So for the short book prompt, I'm gonna do Skyward Volume 2 because I really want to read this book. And I just love the story idea of one day gravity just gets shut off and you kind of have to figure out how to live in 0G. And also the art style of this is really pretty and I absolutely love it. Okay. Oh yeah! So next is adventure, and for this one I'm finally doing Kuma 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 Bear. And basically this follows a very introverted 15-year-old who is a video game addict and ends up getting sucked into the video game world. And so there's an adventure in that, and I'm super excited because it looks so cute. Next is, I believe, it was a book that has a romantic element. I just went literal romance. So this is The Wedding Day, and basically the 2 main characters end up trapped in an elevator, and the guy, Drew, basically thinks that Alexa would make the perfect fake girlfriend to take to a wedding, and it goes from there. Okay, next we have a popular book, and this one I'm really excited to read because of the way that it's been described, and that is Amari and the Night Brothers, which has been described in part as Men in Black meets I forget what else, but middle grade fantasy following a girl who is trying to, I believe, find her brother who has gone missing, and she ends up going to a she ends up competing in a competition for a spot in like a magical school or something. And it just sounds really cool. There's been a lot of hype for this book, and I'm really excited to read this. Also, it is kind of chunkier, but one, it's middle grade, and two, like, the words are actually decently sized, so it shouldn't be that hard to read. And I believe, last book? Okay. Oh yeah! Next is a book with a magical element, and for this one I'm reading a graphic novel that I borrowed from one of my friends and still haven't read, and that is The Snowcat Prince. I'm not entirely sure what the magical element is. I think it was like possibly a crown, but I believe that I don't know much about this one, to be quite honest, but I'm guessing it follows The Snowcat Prince, which I want to assume is this one, and possibly a journey that ends up going on. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm excited to get into this. The art style looks amazing, and I love the colors, so yeah, excited for this one. And the final book is, or final prompt was either to read a hyped book or reread a favorite, I believe. And for this one, I am picking up Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. This is one that I really enjoy reading. I believe it has like little illustrations, and I just love the whimsy of the story, and I think this is what got me back into liking the Willy Wonka movie, like the original one with Gene Wilder, because I hated it growing up. But I really enjoy the story, and I think this will be the third or fourth time at least that I've read this, like, over the years. I really enjoy the story, and I cannot wait to reread it. Okay. So these are the 8 books that I will be attempting to read during Shrekathon. We'll see if I actually manage to do it, because there is a chance that I may have to read like 2 books a day. For most of it to offset potentially Amari and the Night Brothers, which is why I'm kind of happy that I have 2 manga and 2 graphic novels on here. But yeah, so these are the books, and I'm excited to do Shrekathon. Hey, so it's a Monday, and that means it's time for an update. So originally I was planning on, with the bigger books, when I got to like the halfway point, doing an update. But that didn't happen. So I got halfway through The Bridge, which is the first book for the Shrek Readathon, yeah, I ended up DNFing this. So basically, the couple that you're supposed to root for, I had no interest in them, in a flashback at one point, with the knowledge that the guy had a girlfriend back home, and like the girl had, like, her family had expectations that she would marry this one dude, but they weren't actually dating. She and the guy end up kissing, and then she's like, wait, you have a girlfriend, you know it's wrong, whatever. And then they end up kissing again. And I'm just like, I'm not rooting for either of them, because he was cheating on his girlfriend back home, and she was an accomplice in that, technically, because she knew. And I was not a fan of that. Also, the other plot, like, I just didn't care about the other plot. Yeah, it's sad that, you know, the owner of a bookstore fell on hard times and was having trouble making ends meet and the bookstore was gonna have to close, but I could just tell. I didn't care how it ended up there, but I knew that the main, like, the two main characters who were supposed to have a romance would come together and save the bookstore. I didn't care, like, about it at all. I just, like, no, I just don't want it. So, DNFing this. But since I did read half, I think technically, since I was listening with the audiobook, it was like 53%, something like that, so a little over half. I'm counting this as read. So then, the second book that I read, which was for large cast of characters, was the second volume of Shortcake Cake. And this story is just so cute. And it's just like, it's a basic story, but it's relatable. And I think I've talked about this before, but basically Shortcake Cake follows the main character of 10 who moves into a boarding house so that she doesn't have a 2-hour commute to school. And at the boarding house there are, I believe, 3 guys, her best friend, and another student, as well as a house mom. And basically it's kind of like following their friendship and stuff while living at the boarding house. And it's really cool. I really like it. It's a slice of life, and I like this one better than the first one. So I think this one will be like a 4-star read. Oh, and I didn't mention, I did DNF this, but this is probably a 2-star read. So yeah, this is really cute. 4 stars. There's also a trope that was used in here, and I like how it was like, it wasn't fully fleshed out, and it is something that will be continuing in later volumes of this, but at least how it started, I am like a fan of how Shortcake Cake has done it. And that is all I will say on that. We're still going, because both of these, as well as this book, which is Skyward Volume 2, I read yesterday, as in Sunday. So Skyward deals with what happens if gravity is shut off or turned really low, and how people adjust to that, and like different effects that it has on various things. So I really liked the world building in this one. In the first volume, we kind of just get the basic how like the people have survived in the city that Willow lives in. In this one, there may or may not be some travel involved, and so we see what life may be like in other areas. And I really liked the world building of this, and I'm excited to see where the third and I believe final volume takes this. I definitely enjoyed this more than the first one, but that's just because we got a different look at how the world of Skyward has been built. And so this one for me, honestly, was 5 stars. It is really well done story-wise. There were a few things that like I wish would have been fleshed out a little bit more, or like better in some manner. There was 1 or 2 things that like felt rushed, but that's also because it's a graphic novel and really short. The art style in this one is so good. I love it. And I'm so excited to read the 3rd volume at some point. Okay, so the final book so far that I've read, which I read this morning, was Volume 1 of Kuma 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 Bear, which was for the adventure prompt. And this basically follows 15-year-old Yuna, that's how I'm pronouncing it, as she is transported into the world of her favorite video game, and she is forced to wear this bear outfit that she would never wear in real life, and kind of like different adventures that happen with it. And it's like a role-playing type game, so there are different like quests and stuff that she can do, and there are different people that she meets, and it's really cool. I like how it's done. I will say there are a few like panels of like dead animals, specifically wolves, as she does at one point fight them. So if that's not something that you would like to see, just be aware of that. But overall, this is like really cute, and I like it, and I want to read more. So yeah, so far I have read half of the books that I need to read for, or would like to read for the Shrek Readathon, and it's only Monday. But the next book I have is, I believe, The Wedding Date. And then after that is Amari and the Night Brothers, which are bigger books, so they will potentially take me a couple days each. So, front loading, getting a bunch of reading done at the beginning is kind of good for me. And I'm excited to see what my thoughts are with the other books that I have to read for this readathon. Okay, so I fully intended to update you guys yesterday. It's Wednesday, by the way. So I fully intended to update you guys on Tuesday because I did reach the halfway point in The Wedding Date. However, I ended up reading a little bit more. And so I'm currently on page 204 of this book. And I think I'm gonna DNF it. Okay, so the first 60-ish pages of this book I really enjoyed, like setting up the story of how they met, like going through the wedding that Drew was a groomsman in, like the various events related to that. Like, that was all good. But since then, it's almost been, like, extremely formulaic in that they meet up, they maybe learn, like, one or two new things about the, about each other, and then they have sex. And then it just kind of keeps going back to that. And so, technically, what I feel like I was actually reading was just, like, their sex life. Which, I won't care. I won't care about that. And, okay, some of this book is believable in that, both the characters, both Drew and Alexa, think that the other doesn't like them. But they've been basically meeting each other at this point, I want to say close to a month at least. And, like, they're still doing it. Like, they're still meeting up, still hanging out, whatever. And so you would think at that point that it would click. Oh, well, maybe, like, they like me kind of thing. And maybe they want to keep this up. But neither of them talk about it or bring up their feelings, which, I mean, I sort of get, but at the same time, like, talk to them. Like, it would solve so many issues. And, I can't. And then, on top of things, on top of that, Drew is supposed to be a player, but he honestly doesn't seem like that, because it's almost like when he's talking or near Alexa, it's almost like he loses all confidence. And, like, to me, like, yes, that could happen, but if he really truly is, like, supposed to be a player, like, he should have major game and, you know, I don't know. It just, he doesn't, if he's supposed to be a player, he doesn't come off as that to me. Both of these characters are very, like, insecure. Alexa is insecure more, in her body, and, Drew, I think, is just, he's afraid of commitment, and so he almost doesn't want to acknowledge for himself that he does truly have feelings for Alexa, so, I mean, I get it. I do. But I don't feel like reading more formulaicness in this book. So with like roughly 100 pages left, I'm DNFing this book. But because I read over half, I'm counting it. Counting it as like, it's still going to be a DNF overall for like book stat stuff. But for this specific challenge, readathon, whatever, it's counting as read. Okay, which means next up is Amari and the Night Brothers, which my hope is to finish this by Friday, because I think the readathon ends on Saturday, and I have a like graphic novel and a short middle grade book left after this. It is a little bit bigger, but writing is decently big, so it shouldn't take too long between that and it being a middle grade. So we shall see, and I will get back to you hopefully when I'm halfway. Okay, so the Shrek readathon officially ends tomorrow on Saturday. Currently it is Friday evening, and I'm calling my specific Shrek reading vlog thing here. So I managed to read 5 books. I'm currently on my 6th one, which is Amari and the Night Brothers. I'm only about like 60-ish pages in, but I do not see myself reading like, you know, 300 plus pages tonight and tomorrow, especially since I have plans this weekend and I don't see myself reading a whole bunch. So overall, like, reading 5 books, yes, there were 2 DNFs, but I did read half of one of those books and all but roughly 100 pages of the other one, so I read a good bit this week, and I am proud because before this, like, readathon vlog, I read maybe 2 books this entire month, so it actually really helped me. And I do still plan on reading Amari and the Night Brothers. I'm really enjoying it so far. I definitely am wanting to reread Charlie and the Chocolate Factory because I absolutely love just the creativity of that. And then I do still want to read the Snowcat Prince at some point because it's one of my friends that I borrowed and I still haven't, you know, read it and given it back to them, so like to do that. But are these the, those are, oh, yep. But these are the books that I managed to read or attempted to, and honestly I'm proud of myself for that. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!